Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bill Fay. I'm the superintendent of the Wilmington Public Schools, and I'm extremely pleased to be here this evening to welcome you to this special by Wilmington Cable TV for Frank Kelley, Wilmington High School's longtime track coach and math teacher. We're focusing this evening on the fact that Frank was recently inducted into the Coaches Hall of Fame in Massachusetts for all of his accomplishments over the years as a track coach at Wilmington High School. I feel a certain personal sense of involvement because Frank first came to Wilmington as a math teacher in the fall of 1957, and even though Frank doesn't like to admit it, I was a senior at Wilmington High School at that time, and I was privileged to be one of the first classes that Frank taught in Wilmington. I look back on those days, particularly a couple of things that Frank always tried to get across to us as students. Obviously, the work ethic and being a good student and applying yourself, that hasn't changed a bit. I think that the later generations that come along and are watching this evening will take heart in the fact that Frank was just as tough when he first started out in teaching as he continues to be today. Having a class with Frank Kelley is certainly a great learning experience. But there was one other thing. Frank always had a motto, or at least it was a motto that he gave to us, and it always stuck as far as I was concerned. And while it was basically applied to the athletic field, I think you could safely say that it could be carried right through life, and that was that it's amazing how much you can accomplish when no one cares who gets the credit. And I think that it sort of epitomizes the team play concept that Frank Kelley has always stood for. We're very pleased, and I know I'm speaking not only for myself, but for the Wilmington School Committee and the Wilmington school community, when one of our own is honored in this fashion. It's certainly something that's been justly and richly deserved, and I'm privileged to be here this evening to open the program. At this time, I'd like to introduce Mr. James Gillis, who's the athletic director at Wilmington High School, and I'm sure Jim will have a few comments that you'll find interesting.
Thank you, Mr. Fay. At this time, I would like to thank Mr. Dion for having this great idea to pay this tribute to our great coach, Mr. Frank Kelley. Mr. Frank Kelley has been with us for over 33 years as a teacher, a coach, assistant principal, acting assistant principal, a department head, just a wonderful guy. He's a coach, he's a teacher, and he's a friend. He's a positive role model to all of our student athletes. I remember Mr. Kelley when, as a freshman, incoming freshman in 1959, in one of his algebra classes. You could tell right then he was demanding, but he was fair. He loved his kids, and that's the way Frank is. The attributes that he has is the type of individual that any parent would want for their child. He's sincere, he's honest, basically loving. He demands from them, he wants them to perform at their best. Mr. Kelley is known as a great recruiter in our conference, in our school. I remember also as a freshman when the kids would be running to lunch, he would be lurking in the hallways. You had a choice. You'd either go to detention or come out for track. That was Mr. Kelley. Mr. Kelley's a tough man to say no to when it comes to his kids. I'll never forget when we had an old cinder track out there and Mr. Kelley wanted a new track for his kids. What did he do? He moved from Waltham to Wilmington. He went to a town meeting, got up on the floor and spoke for a track, and lo and behold, the taxpayers of the community voted to give us a track. Just a wonderful guy, a Hall of Famer, very deserving. I can't say enough words about my friend Frank Kelley. Before I introduce Mr. Fleming to you, I would like to take this opportunity to take you out to one of our track meets, our practices, and show you Mr. Kelley in action.
But if I got like that, I would have had like a...
Yeah, well, we measure.
Take the feet. Couple of names I don't spot. If you're here, give a call. Albers. I
haven't seen him.
I didn't see you.
You and Barry around somewhere.
You and Barry's around?
They're around.
Colin?
feet, 7 inches.
It's a little high, but that's okay, Kurt. Jump. Pretend. Jump.
Good job, Joe. All right, Joe.
Woo!
Ready to go. You go. 36 feet, 11.5 inches.
Demos in the hole?
Anthony, you got a cute sister, yeah? I walk.
Yes, John?
No, all I'm saying is you got it first.
34 feet, 9 inches.
Alice?
Go good.
Last is the worst.
Hurry up. That's on deck. Well done in the hole.
Come on, Tim.
Go, Javi.
You know, just came in second in the triple jump. 36 feet, 11.5 inches.
Now where are you going to go?
I'm going over here to talk to the rest of the team.
Aren't you in the quarter? Yeah. When's your quarter? It's the last race.
Dunlap.
Outside lane, man. That's
Touching the wall.
Keep it right there.
Good job, Evan. Molly, nice job. Good run. Martin!
Good job, you guys. Nice race.
Good. Holloway, good race, both of you. Excellent. 28, Gina, excellent.
Gina, good job. Good job, Gina.
You got it. Hang it. Runners, take your mark. Sit.
Nice job, Kurt. Good job, you guys. Good job. Good job, both of you.
Watch it, Mark.
Y ahí yo le dije a ese tipo, mira, te va para... Bueno, yo estoy bien en casa, tranquilo, con esto que me pase con él, y yo...
Come on, John! Nice and easy, John. Nice job.
You guys go change the shoes first, okay?
Go, Harry! Come on, Harry!
How'd your knee feel, Dave? Did you feel nice and loose?
Good race, Dave.
Maybe that's let's go. Want to go to New York tonight? Montreal? Yeah, let's go. Come on, Susie! Come on, Susie! Come on, Susie!
One to go.
Come on, you guys! Good job, you guys! Yeah, that'll be
Yeah, that's a good effort. Push Michael.
We're gonna watch you today.
We are like Kern.
All right, go Kern.
Go Kern. Just candy. Hey, oh yeah, I got purple. I have no. Go the last page. We shred them. Good. We shred them. That's it, Brian. You got two of them? Come on, Todd. Just like indoor.
Bring it through, Brian. Nice and smooth. Okay, Brian. Good job. Good boy, Brian. Brian, it doesn't look as long, but it is very long. Nice going. It's too long. Nice going, son.
Hey, Lenny.
Brian, you're 54.
Nice job, Todd. 59.
Oh, my God. Just after the 220, that's a decent job, you know? Yeah, good job.
Good boy, Matty. Nice
going,
job.
son.
Nice job, Todd. Nice job.
Brian, the team, 45, 76.
Well, good job, everybody.
That was a good moderate. I got him slower than that, Bob. I got 54.44. Yeah, well, you weren't on the line. That was a good job. Nice job. Oh, fucking. Guys, 9 o'clock tomorrow, all events. 9 o'clock tomorrow.
A lot of guys that don't know that, so we gotta make sure they do.
9 o'clock tomorrow, guys. The lead was Tony Robbins.
I was very, very pleased to hear of the induction of Frank Kelley into the Mass State Track Coaches Hall of Fame, and I really couldn't think of a more worthy candidate. I've been coaching track here at Lowell High School for 12 years, and when I first came in as a rookie coach, you know, Frank, as a coach of the Wilmington team, really was really like a mentor, and I think he really took time out to help a young and experienced coach who was an opponent, and I think that really kind of set the tone for the type of guy he is in my relationship with him. He's always upbeat. His kids love him. My kids have really had a good relationship with him too, even though he's an opposing coach. And he's really, I think, a credit to the sport of track and field. You know, the sport is very fortunate to have him representing it. And as I said, I just couldn't be happier than to see him be inducted into the Hall of Fame. It's certainly a well-deserved honor.
I want to thank Mr. Gillis for passing the baton to me as I begin the last leg of our presentation here, designed to honor Mr. Kelley, who was recently inducted into the track coaches, the State Track Coaches Hall of Fame down on the Cape. I've been asked to, I guess, say a few comments reflective of my unique relationships with Frank. I think Frank is an institution in the realm of the classroom, which is of obvious importance to Frank and myself, in fact, all the viewers. Frank is what we would consider an excellent teacher of mathematics. I think one of the characteristics indigenous to Mr. Kelley's teaching, specifically if there are 5 ways to solve a problem, he insists that his students learn all 5 ways. If it involves a little bit of extra effort, even or quite a bit of pain, without any exaggeration, Mr. Kelley insists that the youngsters experience that pain because he feels in the long run this will stand them in good stead, and I believe it will too. I think Frank is rapidly becoming kind of a phenomenon, if he isn't already, in the realm of track. In the 6 years I've been here, it seems to me we don't always have a large number of youngsters going out for the cross country and going out for the indoor and outdoor track. But the ones that do go are reflective of an unusual degree of commitment, which is something I think that they draw from Mr. Kelley. I sat at my desk late in the afternoon a couple of weeks ago, maybe make it about 4 weeks ago, and I watched Mr. Kelley, for example, in the snow with some of his youngsters, going over to the side of the Swain School so that they could run up and down the bankings. He's with them constantly. In a personal sense, I can remember my first year in here in the summer, anticipating the beginning of the school year, looking for somebody to share my dreams pursuant to my first principalship with, wanting to desperately know what the faculty was all about, what they believed, what they wanted. Frank provided me with that one afternoon in the corridor here in August. I'll never forget that. I could go on and on and on about Mr. Kelley. Probably the most pertinent thought I have on the man is that he is quality because he loves and he's kind, and he realizes that discipline learned early is absolutely essential to success experienced later. And I think probably that's an appropriate place to close. I hope I've made a contribution because I respect Frank, and I think the next kind of gesture that we're going to make as an academic community is to have an assembly where several of Frank's past runners, students, can meet and honor him together with the contemporary student population of Wilmington High School. Thank you.
Okay, this afternoon, as you know, we had a concert planned, but we also have an extra little added attraction. One of our faculty members has distinguished himself in the last 2 or 3 months. Well, actually, for his 140 years, actually, he's been around. But actually, he's been given an award in the last couple months. And we have a host of people here today who'd like to say a few words. And we're going to start off with Mr. Gillis, the athletic director. Mr. Gillis?
Good afternoon. Hey, we have some smiles. It's a sunny day out there. You're healthy. You got vacation coming up. First of all, let's hear it for Mr. Kelley. Let's give him a great hand. We have some former student athletes of Mr. Kelley, Wilmington High grads, who would like to say a few words. But before we start, we'd like to introduce Mr. Kelley.
Just sit back and relax for a minute, yeah?
As all of you know, Mr. Kelley was formally inducted into the Coaches Hall of Fame, a recognition that he duly deserves. This time I'd like to introduce to you the football and track coach over at Andover High School to say a few words, Mr. Dick Collins. Dick?
16 years ago at Andover, we had a 93-meet winning streak in track. And Wilmington High under Coach Frank Kelley came over and beat us. And I've been waiting for 16 years to get back at him. Frank, I got my chance now. Frank Kelley and I have been colleagues. Well, I've been at Andover for 31 years, and he's been at Wilmington, I think, even longer than that. He's a lot older than I am. I started coaching when I was 6 years old. But Frank Kelley is probably the finest gentleman I have ever met in my entire coaching career. He is an individual who cares just as much about the young person on a team with the least ability as he does with the greatest star. When he gets to great athletes, like Mike Esposito and Rick McCulley and people like that, he'll make champions out of them. But he cares just as much about the person who runs the mile in 6 minutes or throws the shot for 13 feet or whatever it is. That's a unique characteristic. I don't know of anybody in sports who has that kind of quality the way Frank Kelley has. You young people at Wilmington are extremely fortunate. There is no man in the coaching profession more loved and more respected than Frank Kelley. And I take great pleasure and even though he broke my winning streak, I've said to him many times, Frank, if it had to be done, it couldn't have been done by a greater guy. I really am pleased to be over here and play a small role in this and to pay my tribute to Frank, as I say, the greatest gentleman I've ever met in the coaching profession. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. Our next speaker was a member of that track team that did beat Andover, and we don't beat Andover in track very frequently at all. And I'd like to introduce to you Rick McCulley. Rick, class of '75.
Thank you, Mr. Gillis. This is kind of unexpected for some of us, but we couldn't think of anybody that we would rather honor than Mr. Kelley. And it doesn't matter how long you've been out of school. Mr. Kelley is one of those people that live with you forever. And 4 years isn't enough time to spend with him, learn from him, and the difference that Mr. Kelley makes, those of you who are on the team that know him as a coach, that it's not the winning that is the most important. Winning is great, but it's how he treats the individuals and the competition. And he always has a good word for everyone. I've been out of school for 15 years, out of high school, and I've never met anybody like Mr. Kelley, and I'm so proud of him and happy to have someone like him that I can call a friend and just say congratulations to you, Mr. Kelley. You deserve the Hall of Fame.
Our next speaker from the class of '73 and a teacher in our system, Rick Barry. Rick?
This one. Oh, hi. Some of you, I'm sure, you've known me or have had you in school. You heard a lot about from Mr. Collins about Mr. Kelley caring for the individual and bringing a lot of athletes to prominence. Names like Mike Esposito, Rick McCulley. And I'm here to show you that I'm one of those guys that wasn't one of those great athletes that Mr. Kelley, with the time and patience that he showed to every single individual, means a lot. He made champions out of every single person. He cares about everybody. And I think there's no better example than the care that Mr. Kelley shows. If you're ever looking for him after 4 o'clock and there's one athlete in the school, whether it's from this school or some other school that needs a little tip on this or that, go out to the track, because Mr. Kelley will be there. And it doesn't matter if it gets dark, Mr. Kelley will spend the time. And there's really not too much more that I can say that other people have also said. He's one of the finest individuals I've ever met, one of the most caring people. And the kids of Wilmington have been real fortunate to have Mr. Kelley here. So just remember that when you're walking through the halls. You're looking at a tremendous individual.
Our next speaker, one of the greatest athletes ever come out of Wilmington High, in the class of '71, All-American in football and track, Mike Esposito. For those of you who don't know by now, that number 32 hanging in the showcase belongs to Mike.
It's an honor to be here to congratulate Mr. Kelley for his induction to the Hall of Fame. It's well deserved. I'll tell you one thing, I hated track. It was the most boring thing I ever did, and the only reason I did it, Mr. Kelley convinced me to do it. And I really enjoyed the association I had with Mr. Kelley and what he meant to me through my career at Wilmington High School. He's a heck of a person, if I can say that, and a real great coach. It's my honor and privilege to be here today. Thank you.
Our final speaker before we have a couple of presentations, another All-American in the other jersey, number 46, that's hanging in the showcase. All-American in football and track, Jack Bowen, class of '63.
Which one is on here? What's great about getting older is that you get better each year. Mr. Gillis is maybe an All-American. That's great. Today we're here to honor Mr. Kelley, and certainly well-deserved. For the English department, if you get into reading the Reader's Digest condensed versions, you read the articles about the most unforgettable characters. Well, Mr. Kelley is certainly a befitting of an unforgettable character. Back in the early '60s, when I was here at Wilmington, again, not the most gifted athlete, certainly not in track, but he made a believer in me that you could be a gifted athlete, and was a tremendous motivator to all the athletes. Recalling back, thinking about coming over here today, thinking of the people that ran track in those days. The entire football team was his relay team. The backfield was his relay team. His weightmen were his linemen. Kids that didn't go out for track, Mr. Kelley would intimidate in his math class to go out for track. Kids that dared eat in the cafeteria were subjected to sandwich signs in March, early March. I think they recall reading something similar to burn off the winter fat, run spring track. And he would parade up and down until he got a full complement for his track team. If you haven't ever had the opportunity to have Mr. Kelley in a class or to run track, please, before you get out of high school, either make sure you take a math classroom or you spend a spring running track for him. It will be one of the most unforgettable things of your high school career. I was fortunate later on coming back in the late '60s, working in Wilmington, and also being an assistant track coach with Mr. Kelley. There you truly get an appreciation for the man's talents, the man's dedication to youth, man's dedication to the sport. Wilmington has had 30 years, Mr. Kelley? 33 years of Mr. Kelley's time. Probably he is one of the greatest things that has ever happened to the town of Wilmington, for the kids in the town of Wilmington. So I hope he continues. I hope this is not a swan song, Mr. Kelley. I wasn't aware of that. I think another 30 years. He looks pretty fit. So once again, Mr. Kelley, congratulations. And kids, please take advantage of what you have. Thank you.
At this time, we would like to make a couple of presentations. I'd like to call upon Mr. Fred Nielsen from the town crier.
I haven't actually ever had Mr. Kelley in a class or in coaching, but in the time prior, I've had I've almost made a career out of taking Mr. Kelley's picture, whether it's something for track or even as being named good guy. A few weeks ago, when I found he was being inducted into the Coaches Hall of Fame, I took some pictures of him, and we had a sketch drawn up which was on the front page of the paper about 3 weeks ago, and I'd like to present him with the original of that.
So our next presentation comes from the students, the teachers, the coaches, everyone involved in Wilmington High School. I'd like to ask Mr. Nee to come forward, please. This plaque reads, to Frank Kelley, teacher, coach, friend, Hall of Famer. Congratulations from Wilmington High School.
The clock is set one day late to remind me that my marks were due yesterday. I have them in my pocket now. May I just, this was completely unexpected. I was told that my friend Dick Collins was down here and he wanted to ask me something about a meet that we have in another 8 days. So I came down and I saw Ricky, Jackie, 2 Rickies in fact, Mike, people that I had coached before, and people that it was a tremendous honor to coach. Mike said he never liked track. He also said it was very hard. He was one of the finest competitors I've ever seen in my life. Ricky, I told him when he was a freshman, I'd make him a hurdler. And he came under the leadership of a senior on the team, Bill Bardiali, and Bill had an awful lot to do with making him a hurdler. Ricky Barry came out, and by the time he was a senior, he improved in his 45-yard hurdles over 2 seconds, held the school record when he left. Jackie Bowen. Jackie was one of my first athletes that I coached at Wilmington, and he was correct. The entire backfield was on our team. Mike Esposito was one of an entire backfield except for the quarterback. And these 2 gentlemen were captains of undefeated state championship football teams. And boy, they sure helped us in the track team also. I think you know if you get me up here in front of the microphone, it's very hard to shut me off. But I just have to say, Jackie alluded to the fact, he said, I hope this is not a swan song. I certainly hope it's not a swan song. It would be hard to leave the kids from Wilmington, the faculty from Wilmington, and the fantastic assistant coaches that I've had. 3 of them spoke today. I would just mention a fellow that many of you know. Bob Cripps has been with me for over 15 years. Tremendous loyalty, a privilege to work with him, a very hard-working man, and much of the credit that I have received should really be given to some of the assistant coaches I've had, including Bob. He has done an awful lot of work. He stays in the background. A lot of people don't notice him. I get the loud voice. I wear the hat. I yell. I scream. I get so excited I actually don't know what's going on sometimes. But the fantastic people I've had the privilege of coaching has made it worthwhile. I hope I'll be able to continue coaching as long as I can maintain my enthusiasm. I hope my enthusiasm can be contagious to my athletes, to my students, because it's very important to me that my students be enthusiastic for learning, just as my athletes be enthusiastic for competing. I want to thank you very much for all the support you've given me over the years, for the present students, and for all the generations of Wilmington athletes and students who aren't here now. Thank you very much.
Hi, Mr. Kelley. There are a few of us here tonight that unfortunately couldn't make it to the high school, to the assembly, and we're here tonight to say congratulations and thank you.
Mr. Kelley, I'm very sorry that I couldn't make it on Thursday, but I'm here now to thank you very much for my wonderful seasons that I had in cross-country, winter track, and spring, and I had such a great time. I brought all your enthusiasm and experience into college.
Mr. Kelley, I would have given anything to have been able to be there at the high school on Thursday with you. I couldn't get out of the hospital. I told them I was going to see Frank Kelley, and they didn't know who you were. But everybody else in the world knows who you are, and I made sure I could come here tonight, Mr. Kelley. Oh, okay. Mr. Kelley, we were sitting here trying to come up with some stories. We were reminiscing, trying to think of the stories that meant the most to us involving you and things we were grateful for. And we realized we were going to be here for 3 days, and none of us have the time for that. So we thought of some of the most memorable. And first off, we wanted to thank you for going down to the Cape. Your track camp down the Cape was the highlight of every season. Before cross country, we'd go down there. I know my parents enjoyed it too. You had them chaperone because you were the model coach. You couldn't chaperone 12 women. But my parents, they enjoyed coming down too. The Falmouth Road Race that you used to enter us in, I don't know how you did it. I tried after I graduated to get into the race, and they sent me back my check. So I think you needed Mr. Kelley's name on there somewhere in order to get into the Falmouth Road Race. But Lisa, Lauren, and I were just, that was something really special that you used to be able to do for us. Lauren's got another story she was thinking of.
I know when I, think of the good times I had in high school on track and everything, one of the first things that comes to mind was our trip to New York to the Kenny Cross Country Championships, and you driving the van with all of us in it, and, and coming home. Well, actually stopping in the Bronx, I think, to ask directions, and then I think it was on the way home, and then I remember the heat was just blaring on one side of us, and you had the window rolled down, and the snow was blowing in. And
he was afraid he was going to fall asleep,
yeah,
so he had
yeah.
that window open.
And I even think he had the radio blaring too.
For the first time in his life, he had the radio blaring.
And I remember sitting up, and we were all all nervous and bug-eyed because, it was late at night.
And I think you were falling asleep, Mr. Kelley.
And we were kind of even. But, it was great, Mr. Kelley. Thanks a lot.
Oh, Mr. Kelley, I'd like to tell you about, we'd really like to thank you for chauffeuring us back and forth to the meets with your trunk filled with plaques and trophies from the 60s, spikes and running shoes that were probably outdated in the 30s, but old numbers that were all crinkled up and ripped. And we'll never forget, whenever we went to a track meet, we could never, ever miss you. If anyone was looking for the Wilmington coach, all they did was look up and they could see that white hat or hear your mouth. Incredible. You could hear you from at least a half mile away. You could hear Mr. Kelley. It was somewhere in sight. When you're running around this upper hill and coming down and around a corner, you'd hear Mr. Kelley screaming for you about a mile away on the other side. On a more serious note, Mr. Kelley, I am now presently teaching phys ed, and all your enthusiasm that you've shown in a classroom, on the track field, and even coaching with you, I bring it into my classroom and I try and get my kids to be as enthusiastic as you are as a teacher.
I'll always remember the time, I think it was my freshman year when we were in Harvard, and you put me in a 2-mile race when my time was nowhere near qualifying, and you knew that I probably would get lapped and get pulled out, and you put me in anyway. I was really scared, and I remember all the support and everything you gave me when I did get pulled out, and just you taught me, how to have confidence in myself and my athletic ability, and I carried that with me through college and college athletics, and I don't think I would have tried running a marathon if it wasn't for you, Mr. Kelley.
Okay, and on a more serious note too, Mr. Kelley, I think when we all think of you, we think of track and running, but I just want you to know that for all of us, you've done so much more than just affect our running lives. I think, I'm in medicine right now, and it takes a lot of perseverance and determination and some self-confidence, and it all goes back to the formative years on the Wilmington cross-country and track teams, I think, where you were just such a great role model, and you really stand for something that I think all of us would love to be, Mr. Kelley. And we each have a little bit of you in us. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mr. Kelley.
Thank you, Mr. Kelley.
Inductions going, and then we'll have a brief question and answer session and some suggestions. If anyone wants to give us some suggestions in regards to the clinic, what we can improve it, how we can change it, and anything else, we'll do that. But I'd like to introduce Bob McIntyre, the Executive Director of the State Track Coaches Association. He can start with the presentations for the Hall of Fame.
I was looking back over the previous members of the Hall of Fame. In 1976, 7, and 8, most of those people have left us at this point. But I was very noticeable with the 1976 inductees, that at that time, most of them had been coaching 35 and 40 years. One of them, Mel Winter from Belmont, is still actively coaching. He's 83 years old, and he coaches the Belmont girls and still does quite well. The company that we keep is being enhanced today by the presentation to the people who will be receiving awards. I'd like, first of all, to recognize a special award that we do every now and then to people who are deserving through their contributions to track and field for a variety of reasons. And this year we have selected a, call it a gruesome twosome, if you will, who served many years as co-directors of our state meets, both indoors, outdoors, and at cross country. And on top of that, were and still are active in the State Officials Association. I'd like to present special awards, special recognition to our Hall of Fame to Eddie Grant and Freddie Gillis. Freddie Gillis, he gave me a presentation the other night. I told him that I didn't get mad, but today I'm getting even.
I'd like to thank the committee. Okay. I'd like to thank the committee to honor myself today. A lot of other people to be thanked. I got to thank my family for the last 40 years who have cooperated and sometimes worked hard on a Memorial Day weekend to get that program ready. I'd like to thank, and I only mentioned 3 or 4 names, but that includes 300 or 400 people. Picture you in their places at this spot in my life. Someone like Randy Crowley, an honoree today, who many decades ago, with myself, were on opposite sides of the field. I like to feel proud of myself when in the indoors this year, Randy Crispin from Chelmsford won the state Class A title. I felt I was out there with him. I used to go down to Brockton and meet a nice gentleman, excellent coach, good meat, still a friend, Eddie Delgado. And there's one more, he used to call me up at 0002 the night before the state meet and say, can I run this gentleman tomorrow? And to this person, you never say no, a wonderful person, Frank Kelley.
Next one I'd like to make a presentation to. I make special notice from Dick Collins at Andover High School, who was unable to be here today but wanted to be remembered because he's been a long-time competitor against the next candidate. Chelmsford High School has risen to the heights in recent years, and we're honoring today that successful coach, Bill Crispin from Chelmsford.
It's nice. I feel very awkward, I think, if what I consider to be the more important person weren't being inducted today also. That's Frank Kelley. And I can't let the day go by without telling at least one Frank Kelley story. I think about 18 years ago, around then, something like that, I had a boy running cross country for me who had a very, very severe appendicitis. The thing ruptured, and I went into intensive care, and they almost lost him. And I called the hospital every day and checked to find out how he was and when I could get in to see him. And after about 3 or 4 days, the boy got out of intensive care, and they said, okay, you can come over and see him now. And I go over to the room, walk in the room, and who should be in the room? Frank Kelley. This year at Christmas time, we had a fire in town, Christmas Eve. Family was burned out, little girl that throws the shot put on our girls' team. Jack got wind of it. At the state meet, in the back of our bus, there were 3 bags of clothes donated to the family from the people of Wilmington. Can't say enough. He's very close to being a saint in my mind. Great guy.
Our final inductee for the Hall of Fame is, most of us are, as coaches say, when we have a year of success, geez, I've got the horses. I had the horses. But with this fellow, it's a little bit different. He has the pachyderms, the elephants. If you'll take a look at his picture in the book, you'll know why we say that. This is his trademark, the safari hat. And wherever you go, at any track meet, anywhere around, you'll see this gentleman with a white safari hat, doing his best for whatever. He is our chairman of the Hall of Fame committee, and as such, he would never allow his name to be put in nomination. This year, we did it when he wasn't there. We decided we'd do it, and we had a surprise party prepared, and then we got to feeling a little sorry for him that those who would most appreciate it would be shut out. And it was decided finally to let him know that we were inducting him today. And I had the privilege of going down to Wilmington High School one day with his principal's permission, and not only that, but the principal went with me just to see it. And I announced this to him in the middle of one of his classes, which went over with a lead balloon with him. The kids, of course, howled. He had a very successful class for the rest of that period. And, you know, trying to, you know how kids are. You give them a break, they're going to start asking questions, anything to get away from today's lesson. And Frank has done a great job with this Hall of Fame for a number of years, and it's about time he got in there. Frank Kelley.
Not my family.
Yes, we are.
Thanks. Thank you very much. I'd like to start by, I wrote 6 pages of a speech last night. I won't be able to see it, I know, today. I'd like to start by thanking my mother, 89 years old. She's here today. She worked 50 years for the state, retired at the age of 69, and the state hasn't been the same since. My sister and her family and her husband, he's part of the family also. And I think she went to work so that I could go to college. Quite a sacrifice on her part. I never expected to be in a position where I would thank members of the State Track Coaches Association for honoring me with membership in the Hall of Fame. I really don't consider myself a Hall of Famer, Hall of Fame material. I still don't, but I feel very proud that I've been selected, very appreciative of the honor. I'm sure that this is much as tribute to the athletes of Wilmington High School as it is to me. I've always appreciated in my 33 years when I've had the opportunity to talk to other coaches in our league and other athletes on other teams, and they've told me how much they've enjoyed competing with our teams because they recognize the quality of the youngsters and their determination, their desire, their competitive spirit, and their sportsmanship. We've been in the Merrimack Valley Conference since I've started 33 years, or since the conference started, I should say. And I never want to leave the conference because people have been after us to get out of the league into a more, quote, competitive and smaller league where we could be more competitive. I love the coaches in the conference and what they've meant for me and to my team. Some of the things they've done. I remember particularly in 1974, standing arm in arm with Dick Collins as the final relay, the mile relay went off, and sweating every drop of every yard run by my kids and Dick's kids, and finally a stride-and-a-half victory by our late captain Steve Colville, and we beat Andover after Andover had won 93 in a row. It was a tremendous feeling, but I think I even felt better after the meet when Dick said, "I'd like to come on the bus." He came on the bus. I introduced him to the kids. They stood and they gave him a 2-minute standing ovation. I had tears in my eyes then, and when I think about it, I still get a little misty-eyed because my kids recognize a quality individual. I remember a Chelmsford coach in cross country refusing to accept a victory in cross country because score ended 28-28. But John, you had that sixth runner. It's all right, Frank. It's a tie. My kids are happy. Your kids are happy. It's a tie. I remember a Billerica coach. When I had an injury and I asked to make a change, that's what we have to do in our league. If you have an injury, you have to make a change, request of the other team. And I told him how I was going to move in. I was going to cut my final relay a little bit short. And he agreed, even though he knew that it might cost him the meet. It did. We won 73-72. Another coach from the same school, a few years later on, we had lost a meet 73-72, and I was lying in bed thinking about it the next day and adding up things in my head and adding them up, then calling him up. I said, "Would you look at the records again, the results?" And he did. And he said, "Uh-oh." I says, "What's wrong, Danny?" He said, "You won the meet, Frank." Took us 24 hours to win a meet. Called up Scotty McFedrich and said, "Scotty, can we call it no contest?" He said, "No, Frank, you can't." I said, "But Scotty, he thought he had won, and I thought he had won." He said, "That's all right. How often do you beat a big school like Billerica?" I said, not often." He says, "Enjoy it and tell your kids to also." There are literally hundreds of different things that have happened over the years, my long years of coaching, all memorable. But I feel sorry for the kids who do not come out for track, do not participate. They go to school, they sit in the classes, they go home. We try to tell them that you're not going to have any memories. And it's so very important that youngsters have memories. The poet said, "Memories are what permit us to have roses in December." And these kids are not going to smell the roses. And it's a shame. We've tried to get as many as possible to be a part of our program. I often go out and try to get good kids and make them good athletes. One of my assistants said, "I try to go out, get good athletes, and make them good kids." I guess we can work it both ways. I'm thrilled when a 9:47 one-miler in the freshman year ends the season with a 6:22, one of my girls. When a freshman 7:24 boy in the mile, an asthmatic, finishes up his career with a 4:45. Tremendous improvement, a tribute to the desire, the determination. I still remember the little girl, no more than 82 pounds,
who came up to me with tears in her eyes in the middle of the meet. She couldn't run. She said, "Can't you let me run? I want to help my team." I said, "No, you can't run. You have a fracture. You have a broken leg, and I won't let you run." I remember a girl in cross country who took the wrong turn in a race, just near the end. And I'm waiting for her to finish, and she didn't show up. The runners haven't come in yet, and someone said, "She's finished the race." And I said, "No, she hasn't." They said, "She's putting on a sweatsuit over there." And I went over to her. I said, "What happened?" She said, "I took the wrong turn." I said, "I would appreciate it if you went back and finished." She dropped the sweats and immediately took off, retracing her steps, and finished 8th. And I said to her, "Mary, I'm much more pleased that you did what I asked you to do." She was only a freshman. "Than if you had run the race. But why didn't the other girls tell you that you were taking the wrong turn?" She said, "Don't blame them, Mr. Kelley. I was too far ahead. They didn't see me." We try to get our kids to work for improvement. Sometimes we tell them, life has dealt you a load of manure. We try to get them to look for the pony. Years ago, 34 years to be exact, I got fired as basketball coach at Thornton Academy in Saco, Maine. I then moved down, started teaching and coaching at Wilmington High School. I'll take that pony any day. I found it. I've had many successes as a coach, many failures. We've been blessed with some fantastic athletes, wonderful coaches, assistant coaches, supportive parents, teachers in the school, unbelievable kids. I've mentioned a few of them. The way I look at it, we don't get paid much as coaches and teachers. We don't get a mega salary, but the satisfaction we get out of doing our job to the best of our ability is our own merit pay. And I think if we look at that, we'll see that it is worthwhile. I've been coaching a long time, since 1949 to be exact. I tell my students that I'm older than dirt. To put it in perspective, I think of Frank Mooney as one of the finest young coaches in the state. I guess on the other hand, you never really get old as a coach. As long as we can have one more hope for another victory, one more hope for a kid who realizes potentials, one more hope for a championship, one more hope for a kid whose desire, determination, enthusiasm, boy or girl. By the way, if you get a good, loyal girl, they will go through the wall for you. They will do everything in their power to please you and to realize the best that they possibly can be. Many of us just coach the boys. I think we're missing something sometimes when we don't have the opportunity to coach the girls also. I want to continue coaching as long as I can maintain my enthusiasm. I've thought about retiring, but I haven't done it for 2 reasons. One, I thought the program might deteriorate if I retired. 2, I thought it wouldn't. I like to tell my kids that you always do the best you can. And I like to use a saying that I saw a long time ago from Abraham Lincoln. It says, "I do the best I know how, the very best I can, and I mean to keep doing so until the end. If the end brings me out all right, what is said against me won't amount to anything. If the end brings me out wrong, then 10 angels saying that I was right won't make a difference." Thank you very much.
like to ask all the new inductees to stand at this time. All the new inductees stand, please. And congratulate all of you. A job well done.
As a special gift to you, Mr. Kelley, the band and I would like to play your favorite Sousa march, Stars and Stripes Forever.
Kelley in action.